There you go. That's just for you, Kirkland.
That's amazing. Is that from an actual episode?
That's from the original Volume 1, Volume 2 Clone Wars animated show that
Oh, okay.
that they did.
But he
back
actually
day.
shoots the rocket launcher in
That's
the
actually a scene
Oh
in
my
it.
gosh.
Yeah. They're super casual and the trooper just slowly loads his bazooka and fires it. I guess if you're listening audio wise, you have no idea what just happened. Watch the YouTube version for that.
Definitely worth it.
Little gem. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are here to talk Knuckles. The spoilers review. It's going to be a good time. I am one of your hosts, the Fist Taylor Field, and I'm joined by
Flames of Disaster, Kirkland Patzer, the Double Knucks.
Yes. So before we get into this wonderful review, we got a couple of plugs. You can find us with your internet connection in the search bar. GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerseCast is our Twitter. GeekVerse is our Facebook. Be sure to also do me a big favor. Me and Kirkland both. This is a personal favor. I want you to go check out the Patreon. You can support us. Get ad-free early episodes available. Oh, ad-free early content there. It's great. We got retrospectives that have been popping up there. Our Mad Max retros leading up to the Furiosa release and review. We got Planet of the Apes retros that we have concluded in anticipation of Kingdom of Planet of the Apes. It's dropping next week. We're seeing it a couple days early, so be sure to tune in for that review. And then we also are starting off our Alien retro soon, which is going to be great in anticipation for Alien Romulus. So lots of good stuff is popping off there. Also check out Geekverse Side Quest, Dylan's fantastic game show that pops off every is it Tuesdays he drops them? Yeah, it's Tuesdays. I get confused because I record them with him on Mondays, and so it throws me off. Yeah, it's Tuesdays. What else do we got going on, Kirkland? Oh, fuck. I almost forgot. I'm so sorry. Thank you to our fucking Patreon producers. Oh, I should be ashamed of myself. Aaron Braden, April Darkness, Jack Grants, Muds, Sam. And what happened to T Money? Is he gone?
Oh, yeah. We don't talk about that guy anymore. No, we did the Hidalgo retro, and then he's like, all right, that's good for me. I'm out.
I thought you guys were just memeing about it. Oh, shit.
He's still a Patreon, still a good supporter of the podcast, but no, he's rescinded his right for the the Patreon producer.
Oh, damn. Tyler.
Well, you'll have to ask him when he eventually joins in After 9.
Yeah, I will have to. But what about you, Kirkland? What's going on? You got anything popping off?
Not so much. Speaking of After 9s, we just had a nice, fun After 9 evening episode on Saturday there. That was lots of fun. We had quite a few people show up, so it was a great time. I feel like they happen often, but not often enough, I think, because they're just a great time. And because it seems like it's been so long from each After 9 episode that we do, there's just so much to catch up on. There's so much content and just stuff out that people, not everyone's watching at the same time. Go check out Discord. Not sure if you already mentioned that, but great discussions on there. What else do we got cooking right now? We got our big, GV Day Bonanza, whatever we're calling it. That's dropping this summertime. That's gonna be lots and lots of fun. Yeah, I don't know. I think you kind of covered all the other plugs though.
Yeah, I think we got it all. So let's get into Knuckles now. I mean, you can kind of give like a brief overall. I don't know if you watched. Were you there for the reviews of the other two films?
I was. Thank you for remembering that. But
yes,
that was the famous one where I think it was Yumi Travis on Sonic 2, or was it just you and me?
I think it was you and me. Oh, maybe it was just you and me.
It's a long time ago, apparently. But no, that was the one that I actually missed the end credit scene. And you guys were telling me about it. And I think I was like mentioning, I'm like, man, Shadow, like he's got to be in the next film, right? You're like, well, you clearly didn't see the end credit scene. No, I've seen both of them. Big Sonic fan. Sega Genesis was, I think, my favorite or my first console I ever had as a wee young lad. So of course I had a couple Sonic games on there, and I watched the TV show back in the day. I remember watching the movies, like the old 2D style animation, and I don't know, he's just a character that just really, really, I don't know, just I just really grew fond of. I feel like just his quirky personality, the chili dog eater, big blue fan. So of course he's all blue there. But no, I always loved Sonic growing up. And I feel like I quite enjoy those movies as well. Like I kind of know what I'm getting into when I watch them. I think I like them like the first time I saw them. Maybe I liked them a little bit less after that. But now, like when I revisit it now, because I just know what to expect, like I'm still able to have a good time in there. I like the soundtrack. I like our Sonic heroes, and James Marsden he's a good enough human compatriot with our heroes. Unlike Mr. Whipple for Knuckles here. But no, I quite like the character of Sonic. And just kind of like the universe that's in it. I feel like the games, they do go more into, I guess, the Sonic lore, but for like it's nothing too deep. So I feel like, although I have played a lot of the games, I have seen a lot of those shows and stuff, in my memory, that they're just kind of like one-off adventures. I'm not thinking of like some big multiversal combination type universe connections, where all that stuff. I don't know where I was going with that, but so yeah, I feel like I am pretty positive overall on it coming into the Knuckles show. I was quite looking forward to it just because Knuckles is a really sweet character. He's like the badass in my mind of the Sonic heroes, and I don't know. I just feel like the animation around the characters looks really good, and especially in the Sonic movies, like when he's using his powers and stuff. Like I think all of that looks great. So I'm like, yeah, give us a show with Knuckles. Like that sounds fantastic. I didn't really know what I was getting into clearly because I think we were getting close to the episode drops, and I think it was maybe Travis that had asked me if I was getting ready for it. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I can't wait. It's gonna be super exciting. And he mentioned that there's like, yeah, it's like apparently mostly following like the human guy, and like Knuckles is not in it as much as maybe you would hope. And that was kind of like a immediate red flag. I was like, I feel like I should have known that. Maybe I just really steered away from the trailers and looking into any information about it. I was just like, yeah, if it's like the Sonic movies, like it's gotta be good enough, right? And man, was I in for a rude awakening. Episode 1, like, oh man, it was. We even have Sonic and Tails in there, but like they lost me like not even, I don't think, halfway through the first episode. By the second episode, that's where I was like, man, why did I not like do more research and tell Taylor that I maybe don't want to do this review. This was a journey, and not a pleasant one. This was a really hard show to get through. And yeah, I just, it was just not for me, which is unfortunate, because I feel like amongst the podcasts, I mean, you're pretty positive on the Sonic films, but I feel like I'm maybe like the number one Sonic head, and I was out pretty darn early in the show. I made it through, obviously, because we're here to talk about the entire season, not just the first episode and a half. But no, this was a big disappointment, and really did the opposite effect of what you would want from the show leading into like the next Sonic movie. It kind of killed my hype. I don't think that this will be what the next Sonic movie is, but it didn't do much to get my juices flowing and like want the next project. Now it's just like, well, it's got to be better than this. Not so much of like, maybe if it was a really nice positive show, at least for my own thoughts, it could have been like, can't wait for that next movie. But I can currently wait for this movie, especially if there's certain characters coming back. Humor wasn't great for me. I was even messaging Taylor, and just like, man, like, what is this show? Who's the target audience for this show? Because the humor, like, it might be similar to the Sonic movies, but I think it's just because our main lead is just really not a funny guy in my mind. So it's just a lot of goofy humor that was not working for me at all, and it made these 30-minute episodes feel extremely long. This was certainly a slog to get through, and one of the absolute worst shows I think I've ever seen in my life. So that is very low praise. I don't know. I think I'll leave it there for my general thoughts. Starting very low and negative, but hey, that's what the show did for me. But maybe you're a little bit different. So I kind of went on a tangent there, Taylor. Maybe you can give your history of.
Oh, that's
the echidna.
Rough. So for me, I do love Sonic. I missed out on the Genesis era. I did not get involved with that. For me, my Sonic days were Game Boy Advance. I had the cartridges for that. I loved playing Sonic on that. That was my jam. I always remember even though I beat the game many, many times, and funny enough, afterwards when I wasn't really playing on Game Boy anymore, and I still have it on my phone because I really, really like it. But I got Sonic 1 and Sonic 2, the full games that you can
Oh,
get on
damn.
mobile, which is great. That's
That's awesome.
fantastic. And they have like all DLC in there too, multiple characters. But getting to Knuckles has always been such a challenge because always had to get the Chaos Emeralds to actually unlock
Oh,
him.
yeah.
Tails, I think, was just beating the game and you get him, but Knuckles is who I really wanted to play as, and he was always so hard to get. But these characters, I really love them, and the movies, Jim Carrey being Robotnik was fantastic. I love that, and the movies really just they hit home for me. I always had a good time watching the first one and that second one, and then I went in with a very strong level of optimism coming to the show. Well, I was apprehensive with I think the first trailer. I think was it the first trailer? One of the trailers brought me back because I just liked Knuckles' innocent humor, where he's talking very warrior-like, and the show seemed like it's regular Earth. There's nothing like this. Just his lifestyle doesn't mesh well, and I thought, okay, maybe there will be some chemistry here that really works out well and humorously. The humor did not work for me in this show at all. It was weird. Like it in an unsexualized version of Austin Powers. I feel like that's the same vibe to some slight degree in a very weird way. So yeah, the show did not do it for me. It really, really disappointed me. There were some parts that I was laughing, but not laughing because of the humor. I was just laughing like this is ridiculous. Like, what is going on? I'm glad these episodes were half hour because I watched the first. It was Saturday morning, and I watched the first episode, and I thought, okay, like I'm done for now. That was a slog. I don't know. And so Sunday morning came around, and I thought, okay, I need to just like push through and get these done. And luckily, it is really less than 3 hours when you think about it. 6 episodes are like 25 minutes each without credits included, so you can really kind of like push through if you need to. I don't think that this is going to have any real major impact on the movie. I think the third movie is going to be very, very different. I think that there was a couple nods in here towards what we might see with the fourth movie, but yeah, there's some stuff that they just, like you said, what are they doing with this show? Who are they making this show for? Because it's clearly not for kids. It's clearly not for adults. It's just the writing was very, very bad, and I never had a problem with it. But then Travis kept on like saying it again and again, like, oh, every movie or show's using like, "I need a hero," that song, and now like it's very prominent in my mind when it's used, and they used it in this show. I thought, man, why are they using it in this show? It seems like it's a cop out now. You got to space it out, but the show is not it's not the worst show I've seen in my life, but it's definitely not one I'm going to rush back to watch. It's not something that's really high on the totem pole either for me of rankings. So
But you would rewatch it.
if there's a gun to my head, I would. So
I hope that day never comes. I don't want
I
a
hope
gun to
I
it.
hope I hope not either. Yeah. Jeez. Uh yeah, I got nothing else I can add aside from just having questions that I'm
Yeah.
going to throw to you when we get into spoilers.
I'd love to hear your questions. I think I have questions also for you.
Okay.
It's interesting. I was while watching this, like especially finishing off the last episode, finished off last night, and I was just thinking, I'm like, man, maybe Halo wasn't so bad, you know? Like that's the level of enjoyment I got out of this show. It was making me rethink Halo and being like, you know, maybe there's some good stuff in that show that I actually like didn't mind too much, and it doesn't bother me. Like I would definitely rewatch both seasons of Halo before I would ever watch this show again. Which is crazy because I feel like I have more nostalgia for Sonic than I do in the Halo universe. Like I didn't experience Halo, at such a young age. Like I remember going over to a friend's house the first time I played Halo, whereas like Sonic was literally like the first game system that I had on the Sega Genesis, and can't remember if it was Sonic 2 or 3, but like the game opens up when you're Super Sonic, and then Knuckles comes in and just like fucks you up and takes over the like the Chaos Emeralds, and I was just like, who is this guy? Like who is that hedgehog? Not knowing that he's not actually a hedgehog, he's an echidna. But no, It's wild because even like the Sonic-y type lore stuff. I remember mentioning this. I can't remember if it was the first movie review or the second, but like in that movie, I was wanting more of like the actual Sonic character type stuff, right? Like they give us a glimpse of their world, and just like, man, just give me that movie. This TV show had even less than what like the movies had of that stuff. It was literally like it shouldn't even be called Knuckles. It should literally be
No.
called like the Whipple
Mm-hmm.
show with like Knuckles somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
He was just such a side character in this overall show. But yeah, no, and you mentioned the music. I don't even like hate the songs that they chose for this, but I just felt like they were so oddly placed. Like even the theme song, I don't know what that song's called, something The Warrior. But yeah, it just it felt like an end credit like song, like a song that would play in the credits versus like an intro. Like it just didn't. I don't know. I'm just kind of ranting here, but it just seemed like any little thing that they had done, whether it was like the intro, the outro, things like that, I was just like, this just irritates me. I'm so mad that they went with this choice here. And they definitely had the copyrighted music, as you were mentioning, just like the reused songs.
Mm-hmm.
It did nothing to lift the certain action scenes when they were trying to choose certain songs in there. But yeah, I don't know. I hijacked your overall thoughts because I should
No,
have rant
no. I
more.
mean, it's spot on what you said. Just yeah. Well, let's unless you have anything else you want to add, we can take a quick ad break and then we can get into spoilers. So we will be right back. And we are back. So I have a place that I kind of want to just touch upon. Like, if
Take
you
me
have a
there.
specific place you want to go, we can go there.
No, I want you to take me somewhere. I need a moment.
So this show was like it wasn't sexualized in any way, but there was a scene where Knuckles is in with Wade's bedroom, childhood bedroom, and he uncovers this cardboard stand up. And there's like, what is this white stuff all over like the shoulders, all of the edges? And like, what are they insinuating here? Like he ejaculated all over it? Because he's super embarrassed and flustered.
That actually, it didn't really. I feel like I didn't really think too much about it at the time because I was just so checked out. But yeah, no, that's a great observation because to our question earlier, like who is this show for? If there's like references like that, it's clearly not like super youngins, and there's even like certain action here that it's clearly not for like a super kiddie type humor of a show. But um, it seems like they had mature type stuff with the like whether your sexual innuendo reference you just mentioned or certain action scenes or just certain things that it made it seem more mature. But then you have a character like Wade Whipple that is just like, man, this guy is a fucking Looney Tune. And like no disrespect to the actor or anything, but just what they wanted to do with this character, not the person I want to lead my show. Like this like at first I couldn't even remember who he was. At the start of the show, I was like, why the fuck did they choose this guy? That's like, oh, okay, of course, it's James Marsden's deputy, which, he's fine in that deputy type role, but being the lead, it's way too much. It was way too much in the first episode, and that's where I was like, damn, looking up at the Mount Everest, that is the show that I have to climb and get through, even though it's only like less than 30 minutes of an episode. I think they're like 28 with credits, and it still just felt so long to get through. It took me, yeah, like I think 3 instances to get going. And when I first looked at it, I'm like, man, I can bang this out in 2 settings, like easy, like maybe even 1. Like this is such an easy viewing, but no, the show did anything but that for me. But yeah, no, I feel like there was a couple other type references like that, not so like straight in your face, like what you just mentioned with the cardboard cutout. But yeah, that like it seems so out of place and not actually funny at all.
Yeah, it wasn't funny, and that's reiterated throughout the show. Many different things they're trying to make you laugh with, and it just was not doing it for me. And yeah, I guess just we'll keep upon like the trajectory of just being in the house, but the baseline of the narrative here is that Wade Whipple, he gets kicked off his bowling team. He happens to bump into Knuckles, and then Knuckles kind of goes on this journey with him and helps him kind of find his true masculinity inside to be a warrior. And throughout this journey, they run into agency people trying to take Knuckles' power and all that kind of stuff. Uh, and it all leads to a bowling tournament at the end. And that's, again, the show is made. If you love bowling, this show is for you. It's all about bowling, which is just crazy to think about. But
it's funny, the whole bowling dynamic tournament type thing. It very much reminded me of Dodgeball, like the movie. With you even got ESPN, the Ocho, which is like the the people covering it, with like the newscasters. Like it just seemed very similar to Dodgeball in that sense, but unfortunately just not funny at all. And the newscaster guys, like, I think they were funnier than a lot of aspects of the show, but like even that wasn't really doing a lot for me. When we mentioned the the cutout, as soon as I saw it, I just thought of Napoleon Dynamite and Rex Kwando's wife Starla. That's exactly who it reminded me of, just like the super jacked lady. But no, I wanted to shut
you're not wrong. There are some things with, again, just with the bowling balls and stuff like that. Like you have a scene where Knuckles throws a bowling ball and all the pins just incinerate. And then you have him fighting off against random humans, and he's just pushing them to the side and stuff. And I guess he's probably withholding back. But I just feel like, man, these humans should just be incinerated into dust. Like they shouldn't be even a factor here, because this guy's just killing things. But that's my own little beef. It's a kid's show, I think. So touching back upon like the parents' house, the mom's house. So the sister character was the fucking most annoying character of all time. I didn't even think she was really in the FBI, but fuck, she was annoying. What did you think about that?
I completely agree. Yeah, I thought it was not funny at all. Very overdone. I want to say that was my least favorite episode, but I feel like there's a lot of those episodes in the show that I just really didn't like. But that one was just a lot, because you have Wade with his sister that are like just very similar. And again, speaking personally, it's just not funny at all. Like I was just so done with it, even though we were like 2 minutes into that episode. So yeah, I wasn't a fan of that whole sequence, and like I don't really have any much more to say than that. It just wasn't funny, and I wish we focused our efforts elsewhere for this entire show. I really wish they. I wish I wish they didn't even greenlight this show. Like it seems like it does absolutely nothing for the advancement of the storyline that is the Sonic movies either. Like it doesn't even seem like if we're comparing it to. No, I wouldn't compare, this to the MCU or anything, but like WandaVision, how that's like a great show to like bridge certain things in the MCU, going from a movie to a movie, which like, you don't, I guess, have to see the show, but it is an important show to watch to like really know fully what happens to that transition that gets Wanda to where she is by the start of Multiverse of Madness. What the fuck happened in this show that like if I watch Sonic 3, are they gonna be talking about Wade Whippet and his fucking, or Whipple, whatever his name is, and his sister and those characters? I fucking hope not, because that's really gonna severely diminish my overall thoughts on the next movie. So yeah, it's so strange to me in hindsight of what they were trying to do for this show, and yeah, no, it just baffles me, because it just does not feel like a Knuckles show at all. It really does not. I'm sorry if I just keep repeating myself, but I'm so baffled.
No, I totally agree. You get more focusing aspects and narratives just with the characters than you do with Knuckles, and I think that's just a shame. I got excited in that for a brief little bit at that first episode when it was Tails and Sonic and Knuckles and all three of them doing their own thing.
That was exciting.
Yeah, and I was hoping that we get a little bit more of that with, again, Wade Whipple, the human interaction, and kind of not forefront, but in the background a little bit. But no, we didn't get that, so I think that was definitely a missed opportunity. This was a scene that in the house that made me kind of laugh, but it was just kind of wacky. Just when the mom was looking at Knuckles and like, Knuckles, protect the candles, and she just like the way they filmed it was cool, because it was just panoramically like rotating around the kitchen, and the mom was just kicking the shit out of these guys, and then Knuckles was fighting too, and it was cool. I enjoyed it, but but yeah, then you just get the shitty characters like the sister character, which I wasn't enjoying. And like I enjoyed some moments with Wade Whipple. I think he definitely sold me at times, just being kind of like emotional or trying to do other things. But for the most part, I was not really enjoying his performance in this role. And it's just it's just so outrageous. Like there's nothing from the specific episodes worth really like how do I even say that? Like each episode was supposed to be focusing on continuing towards the going through the main narrative, but each little obstacle that takes place in these episodes just it wasn't anything grand, it wasn't anything important. It didn't feel like we were gaining anything aside from our main guy just touching his inner warrior inside himself, Knuckles letting him get captured, which we'll talk about because that was fucking bonkers. Um, yeah, just yeah, it just blows my mind. I don't know who approved the show. I really don't. And the more I'm talking about this, the more heated I'm getting when I think about this.
No, yeah, I'm there with you, man. And yeah, like even with Knuckles too, I don't know. I do like Idris Elba. I think he's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Am I crazy for just saying that his voice would it just did not work for me like at all as the Knuckles voice? Maybe it's just because like I've experienced maybe in the games or like the old show just like a different version of like a Knuckles human voice or English voice. I guess just like it's really not the voice that I would want for my Knuckles. You know, again, nothing against Idris, but I just think his voice has such a power to it that it just yeah, that's Idris Elba. Like that's Heimdall. Like it's just there's certain people that their voice just totally cuts right through no matter who they're trying to portray. And I think he has one of those voices for you know, positives and negatives. It's a great voice with some power to it, but for an animated character like Knuckles, it just kind of takes me out of it. Like it from that first episode, it was just like, okay, that's Idris Elba under the voice of Knuckles, and it was just a little bit too grandiose for my liking. It's probably going to sound very snobby, and there's going to be people that are like, wow, just Idris Elba is such a great voice. How can you think that? But no, for me, it did not work at all. And maybe if the show was actually about Knuckles and we had most of the show with Knuckles, maybe I would have got used to it. But I think it's just because he's like selectively in this show, which is crazy to me to even say because the show is fucking called Knuckles, not Whipple, that it should be. But no, for me personally, I was just not a fan of the voice acting for Knuckles. And yeah, sorry Idris, big fan of you, but no, it did not work for me at all here. But what do you think about that?
I definitely didn't mind it actually. I liked it in the movie, and I think it stood out here too. His voice and his tone really adds to the whole the for me innocent humor, blind humor, I guess, where he's just very serious in these situations and not really aware of what people are truly feeling around him. And I like that, and his voice just adds to the warrior-esque tone that he's trying to portray, if that makes any kind of sense. So I was definitely jiving with it, and I thought it worked for me quite well actually.
That's good. Yeah. Like I feel like I did like it in the movie at the time, but then maybe there was just some time in between my last viewing of the second movie, and I just kind of forgot about it. And then I don't know, maybe it's because he's not surrounded by like Sonic and Tails for a lot of this. Like they are in the first episode, which that's probably probably my favorite episode because not just because they're in it, but just because of the setup. Like the idea of Knuckles, you know, just trying to be like in this new home and like just settle into it. Like why is the show not about that? And like his adventures of just trying to figure out what it's like to live in Green Hills. And no, we kind of just park that and we follow Wade on how to be a good bowler.
Yeah. It just comes back to Wade.
This one hurts me, man. Like this one really hurts me. I feel like Knuckles is just such a badass character. They had amazing like posters and stuff for the show too. The effects looked fantastic. Similar to how I like on the Halo reviews, I kept saying, yeah, the show sucks, but at least like the action looks really good. I do think that it looks good across the board, even our little goons with their their echidna quill weapons that they have. You got Kid Cudi with the fists. Like I think all those effects look really good. It's just a damn shame that it's just such a sidebar to Wade's adventure and his growth as a character.
Yeah, no, I agree. Just the moment they get into the action where he's imagining himself being super cool, and then he pulls up in his cop car, and the cop car explodes, and all this. Thought, man, this is the kind of humor we're getting. And he just sits there while the goons run out and like watch him, and then he blasts with his fist gauntlet through the window. Just all that kind of stuff. And like he leaves the fist gauntlet on the floor and goes to hide and lets the villain get the gauntlet and put it on. It just
Don't put that guy against Thanos. He
No,
is not a good choice.
no, not at all. Oh my gosh, it was cool to see the Hound from Game of Thrones in here.
Yeah.
He was a good villain, I'd say, but
Yeah.
he died very, very quick. There wasn't really much. The last episode, even though it was like the 25-minute mark, it felt the freaking longest because we had like the betrayal, we had the bowling tournament, we had the Hound coming in to fight, and the whole final boss battle. So there was so much going on. And I like another scene that I was kind of chuckling and laughing at was when Pistol Pete Whipple, you recognize that actor? Princess Bride.
Oh, that's who that is. Okay, I did recognize him. I didn't Google, but I knew I had seen him from something. But
I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his last name right, but it's Carrie Elwes. Super charismatic, and I love seeing him in this role. Just he's walking around in like the fancy clothing, and he's just winning at gambling and everything, and he's just so full of himself. But that's where he gave me Gold Member vibes, where he's just the Austin Powers' dad, and this is maybe where I feel like it's the Austin Powers like Gold Member kind of movie blending in with this, because he finds his dad, and his dad betrays him, which was just super shitty, and then they end up bullying each other anyways in the tournament, which is crazy to think about. Yeah, just a whole bunch of really weird inconsistencies and really poor story writing, because the character development was not great. But he was charismatic as hell, and I was enjoying that while it lasted.
yeah, I don't think he was bad. Really trying to reach for positive here. I like his outfit, I guess. Just like the whole betrayal thing, like it was just so obvious that it was coming. Maybe I'm wrong for thinking this, but it's just like, man, like it just shows how much of a fucking idiot Wade is to just be like, my father that's just betrayed my family and my mother, like, you know, like I just want to have this relationship with him, which I guess that's not an abnormal thing. Like, fortunately, I'm not someone in that in that realm that you know, their father abandoned them, which I'm sure that's something that maybe people have definitely aligned with, that like doesn't matter if they could betrayed you, you do still at some point want to know like your father and like have that bond and relationship that you have been missing your whole life. But just it just was so like, he's literally a mustache twirly villain because he has the look, he's got the mustache, he talks like a mustache twirly villain, and then of course he plays exactly like a mustache twirly villain. He betrays him, and he just fucking wants to be Pistol Pete the Bowler, and it's just so over the top cartoony, which I feel like, okay, they're going for it. It should be funny for that reason, but it's not at all. It did not work for me at all. Yeah, like, yeah, I don't really care for that character at all. You mentioned, yeah, Sandor Clegane, I think that was his name, the Hound from Game of Thrones. I thought he was like actually really good in this. Like all the scenes that he was probably just channeling his Hound isms, but he just was intimidating. I loved his blacksmith type character look when he had like the blacksmith apron with the long beard. Like he definitely had the look, but also like when he was on like the Whiplash machine, you know, channeling the Iron Man 2 character. In the end, when he had those whips, like I thought he looked really good too when he was delivering his lines. But yeah, no, they don't do too much with that character. He's kind of just in the background for a lot of it, and as you mentioned, he goes out really, really quickly.
Yeah, like crushed to death. Like fuck, what a way to go.
You have like Knuckles like flying in the air when he does like the flames of disaster move, and Wade just like shoots off his fist thing. At first, I was like, man, he's gonna fucking hit Knuckles. Knuckles is like he's like looping around to go back to the Hound, and then fucking Wade is gonna just deck him. But of course, he doesn't. It's like a perfect snipe to take out the globe there.
It is perfect. Yeah. So how did you feel about, I guess, kind of like detouring away from that chaotic bowling match? Actually, one more thing on the bowling match. So the announcers, they mentioned talking about how like, oh, an alien has appeared and whatnot, and then
Yeah,
this is the first for
1974. They
bowling.
said.
Yeah. Now is that supposed to be Shadow? Do you think? Is that what they're alluding to? Because he's technically in held up in a facility based on that end
Yeah.
credit scene.
Well, they said it happened before at a bowling tournament, right? That'd be kind of.
Why would? Well, that's the next.
I don't like. I don't like that. I don't like that we're centering the Sonic universe around these bowling events. I really don't like that. I'm hoping. I mean, you're probably right, because like, why else would they say that without actually saying someone's name? Because they mentioned that that alien wasn't red. I guess Shadow is red to an extent.
Kind of, but he's black, mostly black, right?
Mm-hmm. You might be onto something there, and that makes me a little more upset. I don't like this bowling catalyst. Why does every big event have to be set around the bowling? I'm curious if they'll answer that, and maybe it won't be so bad if it is like that event that they're talking about, but they don't really go into full depths on like the actual bowling competition. It's just like, yeah, he did come to Earth in 1974. I still probably won't like that because it'll remind me of this show.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Good catch though, because I definitely just kind of thought that was a throwaway line.
Well, that's what. Yeah, I'm just speculating that it probably has some tie into the movie, even though it's a very vague and one that'll just go over people's heads. But the other character that I feel like was just, he got a whole episode dedicated to himself, and it was a complete waste of time. Was God, what was his actual name? Oh yeah, Jack Sinclair, bounty hunter. He had the long hair. He was Wade's friend.
Oh
yeah. We got a whole episode where he basically lassos Wade and drags him for who knows how long, tasers him, and then throws him in this weird cage where it's like arrows pointing down and says like, you've been caught by Jack Sinclair, bounty hunter, and the cage is like electrocuted and whatnot, and he's riding in a Hummer with this little girl and her parents to the bowling champion. Like, it's just this what kind of writing is this? It's fucked.
I feel like the first time I actually laughed in the show was that opening when he's like, it's gonna be a good day, and then he just gets lassoed and just dragged down the street. I think it was the shock humor, like I just wasn't expecting it, and then it was just so fucking random, which a lot of the show is, but that one, it actually got me. I kind of chuckled a little bit. It ended, once Jack Sinclair actually had him, because then they do this tase thing. And I'm not like super nitpicky when it comes to like continuity type things, but they like tase him. As soon as they tase him, he like puts his arms up in the air, and he's like, oh. And then the next shot, his arms are like, as if it's like almost would be a realistic tase. Like he's just like stiff and his arms are down by his sides, but it's just like, this is fucking garbage. Get this shit off my television right now. That's how pissed off I was in those moments. But yeah. And actually, I to admit, I actually laughed at another part of that moment. That was when they do the duel, and he drives off, and he's like, you gotta have a vehicle, and you just can't hear him. I actually chuckled at that, and I was a little bit upset with myself for chuckling at that, because I'm like, this is so fucking stupid, but this is actually kind of funny, because that happens so much in shows where they're like 30 meters away from each other, and they're like just talking, like probably quieter than how I'm talking right now, and then they can just hear each other perfectly fine. But in that instance, they couldn't hear each other, and hate to admit it, but it actually got me. That was actually quite funny.
Well, I'll share some of my thoughts right after this ad break, and we're back. So, I kind of chuckled at a few things with this scene too, with the duel, but the fact that like he challenges him to a duel. Like again, it's unrealistic because Wade like blasts through the roof of this cart as the vehicle is moving down the freeway and lands. And it's like, is he a superhero? Where did this power come from? I don't get it. But he lands all casually, and then he challenges Jack Sinclair to a duel. And so Jack Sinclair like does a backflip up onto the roof of the Hummer limo where the motorcycle is, and he pulls out dual katanas, and it's like, these were forged the sharpest blades on the earth, and like throws one, and it lands right next to Wade. And it's like, okay, we're really getting cuckoo-eyed here. He rides the motorbike off the Hummer. That's when, yeah, your part here, when he zooms away telling him like, you need a vehicle, and then Wade gets the fucking little kid's bike, cuts off Jack Sinclair's hair, makes him strip down, and then he just like runs off like kind of crying with his hair cut off. Like, and then like the mom of the little girl Susie was like, yeah, kill him or execute him or finish him or whatnot. And you got the weird scene of Jack Sinclair in the limo with the parents and making them like forcibly like play karaoke. Like, it's just weird shit.
That was hard to get through. That was like a nearly fast forward type moment, which did happen to me a couple times throughout this show. I will admit, there was a couple moments. Maybe the musical episode, that was one I actually had to fast forward through. I was like, nope, not doing this. Let's get out of here.
That was a rough one. 'Cause again, you get Jack Sinclair just being one of the owls, people, whatnot. Like I can get that they were trying to go for something magical here. But that in the first Sonic movie, when you get that flashback of young Sonic and you get them just like him in his world, and you get the owls and all like you get all the different like actual characters. They should have done that for this flashback. But instead we got Wade Whipple wearing a wild Knuckles costume, reenacting this whole thing.
Oh yeah, no, not a fan of the musical sequence. I wasn't a fan of the overall choice of just have all this focus on Wade. Like, why not have Knuckles go through a similar type moment like that, since the show's called Knuckles, and maybe he needs to find some inner strength. But no, let's just focus on the bowler, who I guarantee is not going to be a fucking main character in the next movie. So like, what a fucking waste of time that was. God damn, I hate that. Yeah, nothing really else to say on that. I'll shout out another moment that actually made me laugh. I'm trying to go off my positive list here. When we have, I think it's episode 5, when we have Wade confront his father and he has Knuckles in his ear. Most of it didn't, most of it wasn't really working for me humor-wise, whether it was just like Knuckles' deadpan, like very literal way of speaking, and then Wade was copying it. But it got me when he just was... all of a sudden he's like, what is that magnificent thing that I'm looking at? And like, when you actually see, it's literally just Knuckles looking at like the costume Echidna. And another moment that was just not what I was expecting at all. And it actually just made me laugh out loud. I thought it was great. I thought that was a really funny moment. There's another moment in the finale episode when Knuckles is at the bar just chilling. And then like a dude in a blue costume comes up. Doesn't quite look like a hedgehog at all. I guess the other Knuckles one wasn't quite an Echidna either, but that it was just a couple funny moments, I think. Specifically when Knuckles first sees the guy in the red costume, cause then he's like, "What are you supposed to be?" He's like, "I'm an Echidna." He's like, "Oh, nice, from Alabama, go Echidnas." Like, it was just so fucking stupid, but I don't know. Maybe it made me laugh because it was actually Knuckles, the one interacting with it, not Wade trying to be over the top and ridiculous.
And see, I think that's one of the things that this show, well, it obviously needed, but how much more successful this show would have been if it had more of that sprinkled throughout the show consistently, instead of the forced humor coming off of Wade and Wade's interactions with other characters. Like, if I had Knuckles interacting with Jack Sinclair, that scene would have been much better.
Oh.
It would have been totally more believable. Yeah. Like, great. So it's just missed opportunities. It really, really is.
Like, is the reason why they didn't want to pay to like animate Knuckles for an entire show? Is that why? If that's the case, do a 4-episode show. Do a 3-episode short series on just Knuckles trying to fit in with this new world or find his home. Like, big apologies to, what's his name? I had the name. Adam Pally for kind of just shitting on your performance here, but hopefully it wasn't all you. I'm really blaming the writers of this and just the overall showrunners and everything. It just because it clearly isn't just this guy, because I didn't like pretty much any of the human characters at all. I love Kid Cudi's music, but man, he was pretty fucking bad in the show. If you didn't know, that was the guy with the fists.
Oh, okay.
Christopher Lloyd was actually in this as Pakakamak, the elder. Did you catch that? Oh, you froze, or I froze. One of us froze. So I'm gonna say you didn't catch that, and just keep moving on. Then I thought he was great. What else can I say here? Yeah, Jack Sinclair we already covered. Gary N. Sinclair.
Am I back?
Oh, there you are. You're back.
I heard Christopher Lloyd.
That was such a funny pause moment. I was like, Christopher Lloyd was in here as Pakakamak. I'm like, Taylor, what do you think about that? And you were just...
I just didn't care, apparently. That was hype, though. I love Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah. No, he's great. I really don't have any other notes, unfortunate.
My last note, actually, because you reminded me of that character, Pakamalak. Very weird how they were trying to do like the ghost thing, because he like couldn't touch Knuckles or hug him, but then he couldn't go through the ceiling as he's a ghost. I don't know, it was weird, but they're trying to make it humorous. I got nothing else to add aside from just my pure disappointment in this show, and that I would not recommend it. I told Travis, like, even on a rainy day, you don't need to watch this with your kids. It's not really even for kids. I don't know.
I tried to rope him in, saying that we delayed the episode for him. It's a truly awful show, and he already hates musicals, and of course, in this truly awful show, there's a musical sequence in it that's like the quadruple whammy.
Travis hates musicals?
Yeah, wow.
He's probably said that, but
I don't think I'm putting words in his mouth, but he always says it's just like the heightened reality typeness of it. He can never get behind. Like, it just doesn't really jive with him, which doesn't make sense because he loves. Yeah, that's La La Land. I think is the exception, but
he's gonna love
any
Joker
other
too.
Musical. Yeah, it's curious how he's gonna feel. But maybe you should ask him next time we see him, so that I'm not just putting words in his mouth. But I'm pretty sure he's not a fan of musicals.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna hear about it.
I pulled up the cast list, and Paul Scheer, he was one of the broadcasters for the bowling competition. Apparently his character's name was Gary N. Sinclair. You think he's related to Jack Sinclair?
Oh, man. I don't know. That's
did they
weird,
mention
though.
anything about that in the show? Did I miss that?
No, I mean, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, it's definitely not lore I'm going to look up after this review, I can tell you that.
Yeah, that's fair. I will not either.
Closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts. I regret signing up for this review. It was truly a slog to get through. I don't think I would have made it through if they were like hour-long episodes, or if this was like a 12-episode season. I don't think I would have been able to do it, honestly. I think I was right about by episode 2. I felt bad because you had watched it kind of before me, and I was like, why did I not start this like Friday? So then I could just like right away be like, Taylor, nah, I can't do it. This show is too awful. But major bummer. I think that I don't even really want to say there's potential with the show. I think that they should have just burnt the whole script and really rethink what they were trying to do here. And if budgetary reasons made us just focus on Wade, this human character, do a fucking 1-episoder. Do a complete short film on just Knuckles trying to fit in here. Release it on Paramount Plus, animate it beautifully, and just let it be. I think that would have been such a better avenue, because this isn't just a forgettable show. This is a show that I'm gonna truly go out of my way to tell people to not watch, or just hopefully I forget about it. I don't want to be living on with hate in my mind, but I truly hate the show. I think I'll give it a 1 out of 10, not 0 out of 10. there was enough in there. But yeah, I like this is definitely one of the worst shows I've seen. I mean, I mentioned it. It made me like Halo more than what was shown there. Yeah, no, I apologize. Anyone, if you made it this far of us just ranting on this episode and you did like it, make sure to let us know because I want to know what you saw that I didn't. And who knows, like maybe it is just certain people align with the Wade character. Like, did you ever see MacGruber?
Oh God, I didn't like that movie.
Yeah, I forget the lad's name that was the lead in that, but like I like it that type of humor. It reminds me of this, where it's just super goofy, which I sometimes enjoy, but like I didn't like MacGruber. I didn't like this. I don't know. It's and like though like MacGruber is for like mature audiences more so than what this would be, I would imagine, but just the super goofiness was just it was way too much for me. I just could not handle it. But yeah, so I do not recommend the show, and I really, really, really hope that the next movie is much better. I am hopeful just for the fact that it is a full movie, so I think we're not going to be following the adventures of Wade or James Marsden. I think his character name was Tom in the movie, so I don't want to like think that this show would deter me from it. It's just this is what we got for the Paramount show, and it's a big bummer.
Yeah, so I feel like we're pretty similar on a lot of these thoughts here. I don't enjoy this show. I'm already telling people don't waste your time with this. I think that it's a missed opportunity. They should have been focusing on Knuckles much more as a character, and they could have really hit some notes really high if they did just that. I think that there was so many things that just leave me asking questions, and so many things that just don't make sense. Is this a kid's show? Is this an adult show? Certain jokes that just don't fit in what they're trying to do, and just total acts of randomness. I think your MacGruber comment is very spot on. So overall, I'm gonna give this show probably again some really low rankings, but like I'd probably go 2 out of 10 to be honest. There's nothing pulling me back. I'm giving it 2 points because there was some kookiness that I laughed at, and I thought it was okay. The stuff with Knuckles and his fight scenes, I enjoyed that a lot. But for the most part, there's not much going on here. The human character stuff isn't the same as what they were doing with the movies, and this is just too quirky, crazy that it's so far fetched that I wasn't enjoying it. I like the quirky craziness that they were doing with Robotnik in the first and second movies. I think those were a lot more in line, and yeah, this is something else. So I don't recommend watching the show. That's all I'm gonna say, and yeah, there you have it.
Thumbs up.
Yeah. So yeah, unless there's anything else you have, that's it. We're gonna close it off there and go cry myself to sleep because this is pretty depressing. Don't watch this in the morning either. If you are not convinced with what we've said and you're planning to watch it, don't watch it in the morning, and don't watch it at night.
Yeah. I've definitely passed out watching this one Sunday evening. I was like, oh, I'm gonna finish this show. It's gonna be great. Next thing I know, it was like 3 a.m.
Oh no!
Didn't even get through a full episode. I'm like, man, this sucks because now I have to watch this tomorrow. Like, that was the worst part about it. It's like, gotta take more time out of my day to watch this instead of just powering through it. But
that's a horrible feeling, waking up at 3 a.m. and you're not even finished through the Knuckles show.
Oh man, Sunday too. Like going into a Monday, I had to like get up, brush my teeth, and like fucking put dishes away. Like I was just so bummed.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll be back with our X-Men 97 review, and I will be back actually, I believe the Bad Batch season 3 finale is this week as well. Nice. So tune into that, and then maybe
Fall Guy.
Fall Guy. That's right, and maybe Kirkland, maybe you'll be there for Tales of the Empire review.
Is that this weekend?
That's
this Friday.
Weekend. That's
Hell yeah,
this Friday. Yeah,
sign me up, Johnny. Let's crush it.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you to that.
Yeah.
Be Sunday night. We'll be waking up at 3 a.m.
3 in the morning. Be like, was I supposed to do something? No, I'm excited for that. That last Vader trailer got me super hyped.
Did it? Oh, I'm happy to hear that.
Got me juiced.
That's good stuff. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to this episode of GeekVerse Podcast. We'll be back soon, so we'll see you in the search bar.
Knuckles out.